Hey there, wonderful listeners, and welcome to another episode of The Finnovator with me, Stuart Bell, creator of the Practice Evolutions program and a whole bunch of other things I won't bore you with. This is a really, really good session, particularly for those who, like myself and David and Leasa McLean of Titan Financial, have a real interest in efficiency and using technology, just getting better at things. I wrote a white paper recently, which you can grab from our website, by the way, ourdairy.com.au/HPP-blueprint, which is all about what I've noticed recently certainly in the Australian financial services industry, which is an expansion, a gap that's opening up between practices that are under about $1.5 to $1 million revenue and those who are above. In actual fact, it's getting harder and harder to survive as a smaller practice. And I recorded something about this a while ago. And certainly if you're a small practice, which is only small because you are small, there's no real reason for it. You're not boutique, you're not niche, you're not working in a highly specialized area. David and Leasa are one of those practices who've made a decision to put the foot down. They've made a decision to go for acquisition and growth, and with good reason. Both are very driven, both are incredibly smart, and both have this same passion for working together to create efficiency in their practice. And that's why this is a really interesting conversation. We're going to chart not only the progression of their business from being relatively small, relatively focused on, dare I say, a lifestyle business, to making a decision that they actually want to get something big and going down the acquisition path. We're also going to dive into a little bit about what it takes along the way. I think this is a bit of an analysis and a pulling apart of the transition of a practice from being a smaller practice to being something that has massive growth aspirations, and importantly, the phases they're going through, the technology they're playing with. And we do name a few areas that are really, really important, as well as the mindset shifts that are occurring. So I hope you really enjoy this one. Final thing, we've recently made available our Practice Success portal to the broader advisor client base who want to be part of our community and access some of these tools. So some of what we're going to be talking about with David, I would love for you to jump in and become part of that. You can check out a bit more about the Practice Success platform by going to our website, ourdairy.com.au, and just choose the free portal option there. Check it out, and if you'd like to be part of it, you can sign up and jump in and see every single masterclass we've ever done and a whole bunch of other resources. Anyway, let's hand over to myself and David and Leasa McLean of Titan Financial, and let's chat about what it takes to grow a business and become more efficient along the way. You know, I actually gave a presentation just the other day, and the presentation title of it was Evolution, Technology, and Efficiency. And I gave the presentation because I thought that those three concepts or ideas or what they meant are probably the most important factors right now when it comes to growing a successful business. And that's one of the reasons why I really, really wanted to sit down with David and Leasa and talk about their business, Titan, because in the time we've been working together, two things have really struck me. Firstly, how driven they both are. And I literally just finished writing a white paper called The Blueprint for a High-Performing Practice. And one of the most key elements in there is this ability to be motivated and driven and be accountable for doing things. The other thing which is going to strike you as you speak to them both is how complementary their skills are in terms of what they do, but also this underlying obsession with doing things, not just faster, but doing them in a way that's better, that uses technology well. So we're going to dive in and really understand more about how this came about. And hopefully you'll enjoy sort of hearing them speak just as much as I have in getting the opportunity to speak with them. And how ironic, here we are talking about efficiency and the technology's been all over the shop. But that said, hopefully you'll be able to see them. But David, Leasa, how are you both?
Really good. Thank you. How are you?
Very, very, very well indeed. I'm glad to be on the other side of all these technical problems. Yeah, it's giving me performance anxiety, but we won't talk about that too much. For those who know nothing about, where are you right now, by the way? Just so we get a picture of where in the world that you actually are.
I'm in the office in Erina.
Nice. And I'm at home in Terrigal.
Nice. And have you always been from the Central Coast?
No.
No, you're not. Leasa, where are you originally from?
Grew up in Western Sydney, Winston Hills.
Oh, yeah. I grew up in St. Clair.
Yeah.
But you've always been a coastie? We can call them coastie, can't we?
No, we moved up here in 2008. So
right.
We've been here just on 16 years.
And right, beautiful. I actually spent some time growing up in Gosford for about 2 or 3 years. I went to Christian Brothers, St. Eddie's Christian Brothers, which was the less to say about that, the better, I think.
That's where our son went.
Well, maybe, I think it might have been a bit with me. I was that kind of kid who, anyway, we won't go there. But I think different things for different strokes for different folks. So for those who know nothing about Titan at all, I mean, tell us a bit about who you work with, sort of what you deliver, what the advice is all about.
I'm going to
Okay.
go. So we work with, we're a holistic advice firm. So investments, risk insurance, the whole gambler, I guess, for want of a better term. Our niche sits with those accumulators, young families in particular.
Yep.
Average age of a client's 47, so usually come to us in need of, the whole box of dice. So some risk protection. They've usually got debt. They want some help with cash flow. They're sort of a lot of the guys now are sort of creeping into that pre-retirement age. So they're sort of early 50s, mid 50s. What does the end look like? How do we get there? Where are the gaps? All that type of stuff.
And is that focus on that particular market? I mean, that's kind of you guys as well, right? You're in that kind of space as well.
Yes.
And did you deliberately go over that market from day one, or was it kind of an evolution? Leasa, I might chuck this one at you.
Yeah, no, I think the business has holistically grown. And I think at the time we were sort of just, any referral that came to us, we sort of, looked to see whether or not it would fit with, what we were doing. And I think it's just grown. So our age group is young, but it also fits into, I guess, we're in that same bracket as well. So now that we've been in business 20 years, we're starting to see that pre-retirement coming through, which we're also getting, I guess, the age group as well.
They're very motivated when people are in, like, there was a piece of research that came out recently for Net Wealth, which said the fact that retirees tend to be, or pre-retirees tend to be the most motivated, but actually it's the millennials that are most getting advice at the moment, which I guess you guys are really well positioned for. Yeah,
we are. We're actually picking up quite a few millennial clients, which is really good. But you're right, they are motivated. And usually more research too.
Really? Is that the case?
Yeah.
Well, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. So you guys are obviously not just partners, but you're partners. Which
20
is
years married, yes.
Is it 16, is it?
20 years.
20 years. As Rachel sometimes says to me, she's like, if I'd have murdered somebody, I'd be out by now. Yeah.
Yes.
So obviously you didn't start off with Titan as a business. You actually went into it. Can you tell me how it went when it came to forming the business? What was the genesis of it? Whose idea was it?
Yours.
It come from an idea that we're tossing around at a barbecue one day, actually, to be quite frank, from the lounge chair of our old home in Western Sydney. So
yeah.
I was working, both actually, working with one of the major banks at the time, and the business originated as we originally kicked off the business in 2004 as a mortgage business, and I was writing loans for the major bank. I thought, why aren't we doing this ourselves? So we kicked off in 2004 with a big mortgage business, which is still run today. My business partner runs the mortgage side of our business, and we kicked off our financial planning business in 2008.
Okay. And was it Titan back then?
Yeah, it's always been Titan. So we originated as a joint venture with a sports management business.
Okay.
So we had, and they were called Titan Management at the time. So we adopted
the Gold Coast.
No, not the Gold Coast. We had an office based in Sydney Olympic Park.
Okay. I used to live near there.
Okay.
I used to live at the actual village we bought our first place. But anyway.
Yeah. We were there for quite a few years, and then moved out to Norwest, and we've still got a satellite office in Norwest today. And then eventually up to the Central Coast.
So what was the motivation, Leasa, for you actually, you didn't start off in the business, did you?
No, I didn't. So I was working at one of the major banks, working full-time in merchant project management.
Right.
I think at the time, Dave was doing mortgages based out Penrith, and that also fitted in with his football because he's doing full-time squad with football. And then, just from the barbecue, there was a bit of a need with the joint venture. They had a lot of clients that were looking for mortgages, and it kicked off then. So I continued to work full-time. I didn't come into the business probably until about 2012.
Okay.
I was just doing a bit of admin work. We'd had 2 children by then, actually 3 by 2012. But then in 2014, we decided that we needed to grow and we needed to get some more admin support. So it just was a work-life balance. I could be home with the kids and also work the hours that I needed to, so Dave could, keep advising and building the business. And I've been here ever since.
So that period between 2004 and 2008, you made a decision, right, we're going to do FP as well, which changes the proposition hugely, right? Mm. And then between 2008, 2014, you mentioned that 2014 was the year that you kind of went, let's put a focus on growth. Mm. What was the business like between that period? Was it less efficient? Was it less structured? Were there fewer people on board?
Yeah, fewer people on board. Okay. Definitely less efficient. So we're talking pre-FOFA. So FOFA was one of those big changes that we've all had to go through, right? So that was almost a trigger point. So we had to change the way that we sort of delivered advice and all the rest of it. So to that was sort of a catalyst for a little bit of change as well. And the business was just organically growing. So we needed... I guess our business back then, and as technologies evolve, we've adopted technology to help with those efficiencies. Yeah, which has really, really helped. We were the traditional one-man band prior to that.
Up until what point did you at least were you the first employee of this?
I was.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay.
So Dave was doing advising, his third-party authorities, his fact finds, his statement of advices. He was doing it all. And then it just got to a point where there was some admin stuff that he didn't need to do, so I came on to do that. And over that time, we did employ a part-time to help. We employed another full-time advisor later on, who now is our full-time paraplanner compliance. But yeah, it was basically just the 2 of us from the beginning. And then obviously with technology, we've been able to, grow the team and the efficiencies and processes in the business with the technology that we've got.
Okay. I was actually going to ask Dave a really cheeky question there because I was going to ask Dave, how did you manage to juggle things being a full-time father and running a business at the same time? I'm just being cheeky because that's funny. It's funny because a friend of mine is going for some roles at the moment, quite senior roles, and they got asked this by a recruiter. You got kids, and she's married as well, and they were like, "You got kids? How are you going to juggle it all?" And she said to me, "Have you ever been asked a question like that?" And I said, "Well, I haven't been for a job interview in 15 years, but to be honest, no. It's a weird one, but anyway, it's interesting." So that shift. I mean, first of all, you've got this thing where you're not only suddenly you're seeing a lot more of each other than you ever have been. And I know when I worked with Rachel in this business, that didn't work for us personally. Did you find in the early days it just clicked, or was there a period where it kind of didn't work and then you found a way to make it work?
Just boundaries, Stu, boundaries.
Let's just say I've had many meltdowns. Where I've resigned quite a few times. But look, we find that balance. I'll either be working at home, Dave's in the office. We actually work in the office together now, but we're in separate areas of the office. Yep. I don't know. We get asked that question a lot. Like, how do you work? I could never work with my husband. But I feel like we do balance each other out. So he's ideas of technology and like, we're doing this, doing that. And I sort of pull him back down and go, no.
There's a lot of
slowly will increase and, do your ideas, but let's think it through. So I think we've been a good balance.
What a yin and yang.
Yin and yang, yeah. It's certainly had challenges, but yeah, we've been able to get through all of those.
I think from a professional point of view, our skill sets complement each other.
Yeah, so they do. They really, really do.
Lisa's got a lot of the skill sets that I don't possess, which makes it great from an operational point of view. Then I can concentrate on the advice set and those. Lisa's got a lot better softer skills than what I have.
As in, so Lisa, I mean, what would you say the skill, if you split the business into the different kind of areas, you'd say, that's my kingdom and that's Dave's kingdom. How have you found it's split down the middle, so to speak?
Empathy. I have a lot of empathy. I tolerate a lot. So, and I'm, look, I think I've got a lot of softer skill set. So I like to listen to people's stories. Not that Dave doesn't, but I'm open-minded. I love people. I love to help people as well. So just the nitty-gritty finer detail things. So I feel like the role that I play, I can support our clients sort of ongoing. And then he sort of focuses on more the goal-orientated conversations, the more technical stuff.
Right. Would you say that you look after the HR more?
We're a bit of a balance with that. We're probably both. I probably do our support stuff with the HR, and then Dave does the advice piece.
Okay. So, because you're quite a systematic thinker, Leasa. That's kind of your thing, breaking things down into. Okay, cool. So, obviously, in 2014, you decided to put the foot down, and you go, "We're going to grow." Was that like I read recently a piece of research that said that I think 50% of practices under $500,000 don't make any profit these days. I think it was actually 60. Like going from being, okay, it's just us, we're going quite well, and now we're going to start adding into the team. What were the lessons you learned in making that transition?
We learned pretty quick that you've got to have rock solid systems and processes. Yep. Without that, it's really, really difficult to introduce different people into the framework and then expect it to work. So we offshore as well. And with the offshore team, through our experience, is that if you don't have rock solid systems, it's crap in, crap out, right? So if you don't have rock solid systems and that you're not delivering what you want to deliver to them, or the output is a direct correlation of what you actually put into them. So if we're giving them good implicit instructions and they've got systems and processes that follow religiously, the output is excellent. It's really, really good. So we probably, the first lesson, I guess, for want of a better term, when we started to grow and it was all organic at that particular point in time, that we learned pretty quick that we needed some really good workflow systems and those type of things. Right, that's the biggest thing.
Leasa, when we met, I know you were very, very much deep in the weeds with this one, and there was kind of a lot going on. What would you say, because systemization and getting workflow in place is something a lot of practices struggle with, or they try and do it way too late. And as a result, they're kind of surrounded by alligators and they try and drain the swamp. What have you learned about when it comes to systemizing that is the best way to do it and make it happen so that you can outsource and you can get that going?
Yeah, I guess for us, we realized when we're doing the same thing over and over, let's have a process in place. So we're heavily involved with X-Plan threads and tasks. We originally were with Midwinter, so we made sure when we came across to X-Plan that we could bring our processes across. So over the years, we've evolved with our system, like X-Plan, the planning software. And I just found as staff have been coming in, training them has been a lot easier because we've mapped out how you do each thing. And there's no room for error as such, because it's very much you open up a task, you read what needs to be done, you close that off and another one kicks off. And you've seen the threads that we run. There's 15 different threads in total. And I think we've been able to increase our team because we have the back end right. So we've designed it that anyone could come in tomorrow. If we were to lose a staff member, anyone could step in tomorrow and they would be able to kickstart straight away.
So in other words, a big part of it is being able to say, okay, let's break down a process and say there's 5 things that need to happen in sequence and pre-design it, as opposed to, because a lot of firms are still operating on that task management thing.
Yeah.
Where
an example would be sending a third-party authority. We have a set process. The third-party authority gets signed. We then, send it off to product providers, another task open to do the research. You close that off, and then another one will go to the advisor to say, yep, it's ready. The research is done. And because that is time and time again, we're doing that same process, why not create a systemized approach to it instead of having to remember each step that needs to be done?
Okay, so get familiar with threads. That's got it to systematize. The other bit you mentioned is Xplan in there, and prior to that, using Midwinter. Like a lot of people are going to have a lot of different views on systems. Yeah, Dave's smiling. Like, well, what's your view on the role that technology plays, and how much do you listen to people when they say, "I can't get Xplan to work"? Because you obviously have. What's your advice to people who are coming at it from that perspective?
We led an Xplan away from Midwinter because at that particular point in time it was dealer group driven. So it was mandated that we used Xplan. When you got to approach it with an open mind, right? I've heard a lot of people talk about Xplan and how rigid it is and how it can be adapted and all that sort of stuff. But there is ways around it. So whilst it's built on old technology and those type of things, it's come a long way. So we moved all our workflow systems from Midwinter onto Xplan, and once you create and build in Xplan the threads and tasks and those type of things, and they can actually be copyable and flexible. So that sort of has come a long way. I don't mind Xplan from a point of view of the sheer scale and size of Xplan allows those guys to be forefront in terms of all the data and everything that can flow in. So once you get that piece right as well, it really, really helps. And nowadays we've adopted My Prosperity as a client portal as well. So the integration piece between My Prosperity and Xplan is quite good now.
I want to ask, I want to get onto your tech, and because you guys are utilizing tech in a lot of different ways. I also want to talk to you both about how you avoid the kind of over tinkering, which I know is something that a lot of people are into it. You can kind of overplay, and Jen will tell you straight away that I buy way too many app Sumo deals. But so the two tips I'm taking from that is, if you're going to get systems right, you need to use threads. And the second thing is, whatever tech you're in, adapt it, learn it, use it. So this is my question. When you adopted Xplan, I'm going to guess neither of you were expert Xplan users, correct?
Not at all.
Okay. So would you say right here and now that you are pretty advanced in your understanding of what you can do with it?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's different? Like, what did you do differently that so many firms that struggle with it didn't or don't?
I think we've spent time building it out. So we've spent time really brainstorming, okay, this particular process, mapping it out. We have had the help of, through our licensee, having Xplan coders that can come in and create that for us. But I don't think it has to be complicated. I talk a lot to other sort of practices about, Xplan and threads and tasks, and it gets all a bit overwhelming. But I think you can just, if you start with one small thing that you need to improve in the business, whether that's your review process or just the initial meeting, and map it out. So what we've got may not work in someone else's business, but it definitely works for us. But you can simplify the process and just spending time to map it out. And it's taken a lot of years. Yeah. So we've spent a lot of time on building what we have, but you just need to start somewhere.
Would you add anything, Dave?
Like I said, it has been built over a number of different years. And it doesn't stop either, right? So we're constantly sitting down and with the team and going, right, where can we improve a particular process? And we review it constantly, and it changes. It changes a constant when we're reviewing all of these sort of workflows and how we do things. And product providers change, processes change, and all those type of things. So it's not just you build it, forget it's going to work forever. It's not a silver bullet. Yeah. There are variables in there, but we couldn't operate our business without them now.
It's funny, like the point you're making about start really, really small and be in it for the long run. It's not, you're not going to learn it in one weekend or one afternoon. It's so true. And Jen will say we use a workflow tool in our business called Flowloo, and we've had it for 2 years. And I can honestly hold my hands on heart and say I've only actually cracked how we can use it really, really well in the last 3 months. To the point where I go, okay, now we know how to do it. And it's if you're I think maybe software is sometimes sold as being this snake oil that's going to solve everything, but it's not. It's like anything. It takes time. Let's talk about where you guys are at today. So efficiency is a big focus. Like when you look at your business, and you obviously, I know you're both very social, so you do engage with a lot of other businesses out there. What are the areas of your business when you look at and you go, we are a lot more efficient at doing this, this, and this than other businesses? Where are the areas you'd point to?
I think for us, our review process, so
Right.
our clients booking in for the annual review, we have, I guess HubSpot is one of the platforms that we use, and it's been amazing. So our clients are now booking their meetings online through a link.
Yep.
Our conversion rate's 65%, where we're having to actually ring the client and say 65, 70% conversion rate.
And that's booking the review in, first email gets sent out without any follow-up.
Yes. It's a sequence.
Yeah, yes and no. So we send out a sequence. So it's a sequence that's built on that HubSpot platform that Leasa was just mentioning. And the system will recognize all of your calendars. So we use G Suite, and G Suite's linked into HubSpot. So it's a sequence is a series of emails that are sent automatically through HubSpot to the relevant client. So we've got review lists built in, and it's just a matter of sending that group email out. And what the sequence does is it gives them the opportunity, and they can either book an in-person meeting or an online meeting. So the system will automatically set up the Zoom and send them an invite and put it in our calendar or rest of it. A bit like Calendly. But what the sequence will do is after a set amount of time that we set in the system, if the client doesn't either reply to an email, have a meeting booked through the link, or there's not a meeting booked in the calendar that the system recognises, it'll actually send them a follow-up.
Okay.
And if that happens again, it'll send them a third follow-up. And if the client doesn't respond to any of those three, then we get a task back in the office to then pick up the phone and call the client to book them in. But as a result of those first three emails in those sequences, we're sitting between 65 and 70% booking rate, which means that for all those clients, we actually don't need to pick up the phone. And so the efficiency there is that the guys that sit in the back office can pick up the phone and have meaningful conversations outside of, we're chasing to book in a review meeting.
So for 2/3 of clients in your reviewing, then potentially the first time you're actually having to have a conversation about the review is either a phone call before the review or the actual review. They're just walking in, everything's done and ready to go.
Yeah, correct.
Now, obviously that's saving a lot of time, but what else is that giving you? Is it making it easier for the advisors to do the job? Are you getting data back more quickly?
Well, in terms of the data, at the same time that they're booking in their review meeting, our Valenta guys are sending out links to My Prosperity for the data to be checked in like a reverse fact find.
Right.
So the actual sequence doesn't give us a data set, but when, as part of the process, the guys at Valenta will send through an email from My Prosperity, and that prompts the clients to go on and just check their details, basically. So let's talk about My Prosperity, seeing as you mentioned it, because that's a big part of the system as well, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of firms who'll probably be listening to this. Well, a few firms will be listening to this on the podcast afterwards, and they'll be thinking, "Yeah, I used to have My Prosperity. I was paying like God knows how much money, and 2 clients were using it."
Yep.
Did you have that situation ever in the past?
Yeah.
Okay.
We used another platform where it was a cash flow management platform more than anything, where we struggled to get client engagement.
Okay. How did you solve the problem? Because I know there's a lot. Again, this is a really common thing. How did you? Because I'm presuming now everybody, they're logging in, they're updating it, they're engaging with it. What changed?
Education, I think.
Okay.
Education, communication around what it is. Every time you sit down, say, and particularly a new client onboarding now, everything is done through My Prosperity, and we make sure they get their access. My Prosperity comes in. There's 2 versions from a client point of view. There's a free version that we just pay in our prescription that we have as a practice. So you've still got the ability to be able to do reverse fact finds and have chat rooms and all those sort of things. Yeah. Free version. And then there's a secondary offer where clients can link their accounts and starting to do all the cash flow management and all those type of things, which we have as a separate offer altogether.
So you have a basic version which is available for all clients, and then you have another version which they can pay to upgrade to?
Correct.
Okay. And what can I ask what you pay for your My Prosperity in total every year?
In terms of our practice?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're paying, I'm going to say it's around $400 a month.
Okay. And how many clients?
Have we got on there? We have 370 clients on there.
Okay, so it's basically $1 per client per month. It's pretty good.
That's for the free version. If they want to upgrade and start to use the cash flow model and link their accounts, then that they've got to pay an upgraded version for that.
And you're mentioning this to them right from the word go, that this is what you're going to do, this is what you use. Is that correct?
Correct.
Leasa, like in terms of the back office, how important has it been to kind of make sure that whilst you're encouraging the clients to use it, the team are using the platform too?
Yeah, really important. So we've done a lot of training with My Prosperity. They do like weekly lunch and learns, and they'll go through different parts of My Prosperity. So back office, how to upload documents, how you can create folders in there. So we're finding now for a lot of our existing clients, when they're ringing to say, can you please email me my Super Choices form, or I need this document, we actually just upload it through My Prosperity because it's a secure site as well, and we create a folder in there. So anything, we can label a folder tax, annual review, so all their review meeting file packs get uploaded there so they can access it at any time. And it's just an easier way than, more secure way as well than having to email, password protect. We can just upload it through My Prosperity and it's there for life.
And you're not going to have any issues with cybersecurity there either.
Not at all. No.
Have you ever had someone, I had another business I worked with, got an email through which looked legit from a client, and of course it wasn't from a client at all. It was from, you've obviously heard these stories as well. That's frightening.
We've had one of those.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you have. And I mean, that's the thing, when you got a portal, you don't have that problem because you can kind of see straight away. Can we talk about HubSpot? Because when I did the Risk Info Roadshow, I presented on sort of tech AI tools that I thought would be worth keeping an eye on, but I also wanted to draw attention to the fact that whilst everyone's really, very excited about AI, there's still some really great tools out there. And particularly for businesses that are on the front foot with technology and efficiency, of which you guys clearly are, HubSpot often comes up as something that practices really love. Can you give us a breakdown of the role that HubSpot plays in the business and why you're so bullish on it?
Well, first of all, it's very nimble. So for small businesses like ours, it's quite easy, even for tech dunces like us, it's quite easy to sort of maneuver and shape.
Yeah.
In terms of how you operate it. For us, because it integrates really well with Zoom, it integrates really well with the other systems that we use, G Suite. So, for example, when we're emailing a client, we want that email to land in our Xplan system. There's a little radio button at the top of the email that we create. We just click that, and that'll go and find it automatically. Tracks into the Xplan system and finds the client and dumps that as a file note. So that's sort of a little efficiency.
Okay, and it integrates with Xplan.
It is. It does from that point of view. Yeah.
That's unusual.
Yeah, it's through, and it's only from an email point of view that it'll integrate with Xplan, and how we use Hunt email addresses in Xplan.
Right.
So we get a generic email address, which when all of so that radio button, basically when we hit it, we'll dump in that Hunt email address as a BCC, and then that'll shoot off into Xplan and find the client. Oh,
yeah. Okay, Teamwork does a similar thing. You can set up a client email address and it's just a forwarding thing.
Yeah. So little plugins like that. It is our landing page, or was the host for our landing page for when clients book review meetings and all those type of things.
Okay.
Does sequences, which we previously spoke about, does all our diary management. What else does it do, Leasa? It's our marketing platform.
It's our pipeline tracking.
We use, that's right, pipeline tracking as a dashboard to be able to...
so opportunities, deals, yeah. Yeah,
all that sort of stuff. It actually tracks, so Zoom integrates with with HubSpot really well as well. So we can actually track the volume of calls that are coming in, the volume of calls that are going out, time on phone calls. It also tracks email traffic per staff member and all that type of stuff as well.
I think you mentioned you can track like fees as well in terms of what's coming in. And
we track it through there. Yep.
Okay. And is that the first? Because it sounds like a marketing platform which integrates with other things. Is that the first marketing platform you've used?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's good. I mean, it gets quite expensive quite quickly though. That's the only thing with HubSpot. How much do you pay for it monthly?
Yeah, look, it can, but it's not as expensive as what you might think. We had a look at others before we integrated HubSpot and did our research. So Salesforce, which sort of the impression they don't want to play with small guys like us.
You don't play with Salesforce. You kind of block a month out and try and work out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, there was others out there, Zoho, and there was a few more out there, but we've found that HubSpot, it's modular, so you just plug in what you need. So we use Sales Starter and Marketing Hub Starter, I think it's called.
Okay.
And from a cost point of view, for our practice, it's sub $500 a month, so it's not that bad.
So what's your total tech spend on a monthly basis?
On a monthly, well, I had this guy introduce me to AppSumo website.
Yeah, don't do it.
That's a rabbit hole you can go down pretty quickly. So do we do it with AppSumo or without?
I think AppSumo is like it's. Do you include your? I think AppSumo. So you put it to the side. It's kind of like an R&D thing. And it's like your food bill, and then you've got the money you spend on booze. We just separate the booze. It's a different thing. But like your core. If you had to go right, let's not mess around. Let's just stick with the things that make us efficient. Like what's your budget?
Yeah, so we spend about $40,000 a year on tech.
$40,000. Okay.
Yep. Xplane's the biggest expense.
Yeah. What does Xplane cost you?
So Xplane, we just did a review on that. Stripping out all the modules that weren't relevant for different people.
I was talking to a firm. Actually, I was talking to a firm just the other day. Their annual Xplane bill is $200,000.
Yeah, we're not that big.
I mean, I think they're maybe an $8 million business, maybe a bit more. So they're a little bit higher, but
we're just sub $30,000 a year for Xplane.
Oh, $30,000 a year for Xplane. So, wow. So HubSpot's not even brushing. Wow. Okay. You kind of look. You understand why so many people look at Xplane and go, oh, you know what? Maybe AppSumo. We get AppSumo to do a deal.
Yeah. Well, I think he's actually thinking if he cuts expenses in Xplan, he can bring in another technology. That's what he's thinking. It's not to cut costs. It's just what else can we introduce into the business? So
that's obviously the correct. You must, being quite active and looking around, you must go, you know what, there's a bunch of other Xplan alternatives, and you have a bit of a look around. Like, but you're still with it. What does Xplan do for you that makes it worth $30,000 a year, and more importantly, not worth trying something else?
Time. I think for Dave and I at the moment, we just don't have the time to try and explore and research, and we know it's working. So why change what's working? I'm not to say that we probably wouldn't explore that down the track, but at the moment we've just been so heads down. Obviously we acquired another business earlier in the year as well. So it's time for us, and we want time back. And we're slowly getting time back. So I think once we get into the more that role, defining our roles, then there might be something else that we can look at.
So I know we've spoken a lot about where you're at in the sort of the growth cycle. And I've mentioned to you that at your stage of growth, it's not about, we'll just do this little bit and then we'll get some time. You've actually got to put down some boundaries and go, I'm going to block it out. Otherwise, it'll never happen. You'll wait, and you wake up 20 years from now and realize you didn't make time for certain things. I want to move on to where you're at now, because you guys are on an acquisitive path, and you're one of those firms that I think, if I was an investor and I was wandering around with a bunch of money, you'd be someone that I'd go, hey, how about we turbocharge this process? But I did want to talk a little bit about the way you make decisions about technology, because Dave, you're like me, you're incredibly keen on technology. And Leasa, I don't think it's that you're not keen on technology. It's that you kind of look at it and go, That looks fantastic, but to implement that would mean basically ripping the tree out the ground, planting a bunch of new trees. So how do you make decisions about what you look at, what you test, and what you just stone cold say no to?
We would look at 20 times as many tech options than what we would implement. Well, I do anyway.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. It's going to, the number one thing is it has to improve efficiency. If it doesn't give us a win in that area,
okay,
and a good win in that area, and we've got a solution that's already working and providing something that is as good value, then it sort of gets shelved pretty quick.
It's like I was doing a presentation on systems a while ago, and I found a picture of a Wi-Fi enabled smart mousetrap. And it's great. It literally tells you when you've caught a mouse. Not that I don't know why you need to know that, but there's a reason. There's a reason why the mouse trap is so simple. You just don't need to overcomplicate it, do you? And I agree. There's a lot of tools. There's a lot of tools that can be used in client meetings as well. And you kind of look at it and go, how's that going to make things drastically better?
Yeah, I've tried a couple.
Oh, you have?
Of AI tools to plug into online meetings in particular as apps that plug into Zoom.
Yep.
And they're great from a point of view of giving you a meeting summary and all the rest of it. But when I apply that against the file note methods that we're using at the moment, using Type Desk, which is something you introduced,
yes.
It wasn't given. There was no efficiencies. There is efficiencies, but no efficiency gains compared to what we're doing at the moment. So I've actually shelved those.
It's like I'll build a spreadsheet to solve a problem, and you realize it probably would have been quicker just to do the sums on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
So the first question is it going to improve efficiency? The second, by the sounds of it, is it actually fixing an actual measurable problem we have? The third thing has got to be the implementation piece. What are you asking about that?
Yeah, implementation and cost.
Okay.
I mean, there might be some really, really good efficiency tools out there that you can use in terms of tech, but if it's only going to give you a 1 or a 2% gain in terms of efficiency, but it costs a bomb, then you've got to take that into consideration as well.
So decision making, number one, does it improve efficiency? Second, is it fixing an actual measurable problem? And three, is it worth what it'll cost to implement or transition across?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about kind of where you're going at now, because it's kind of, you've come through this growth phase and it almost feels you now at a new sort of junction. Because I think you've made a decision that you want to go, you want to start acquiring. Why? What is it about acquisition that you think is such an important thing to be looking to do in the current environment?
Least you want to answer that, or me too?
Yeah, I'll briefly answer. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. I think with what our industry's gone through over the last 5 or 6 years, we've lost so many professionals. Highly qualified advisors. There's a gap, and I think more than ever, Australians need advice. So for us, I think we're a young enough practice. We've got the energy. I think we've spent the work in the last 10 years building our business with systems and processes that we feel like we're ready now. And there's opportunity out there.
Yeah, I think we're sort of getting at that other end of that dangerous middle now too. So I think you got to make a decision in my opinion. If you're a smaller business, to scale and grow, get those efficiencies and role specialisation in particular, or you either do that yourself, perhaps through M&A activity or whatever it is, or you tuck into someone else who's already got that.
So in other words, once you have the systems in place and you can turn around and say our business system is stronger than the other business, then potentially you can roll it out. And the other one you're mentioning is that when you get to that point where suddenly things start to grow really, really quickly and you need to specialize, the fastest way to do that is go out and acquire businesses where you can bring
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about, I mean, there's so much money floating around right now in terms of funding. Why are there so many third parties wandering around going, oh, that person looks like he or she could grow a business? What's your take on it? Why now?
I don't know. I think, in my opinion, there's a lot of money floating in capital markets, right? private investors. There's a heap that you can name. In my opinion, I think in what we do, because it's so tightly held, it's scarcity, it's regulated.
Yeah.
I think it's I wouldn't say a safe investment option for them, but it's a rock solid, stable investment option with good revenues and good growth. So I don't know, but hopefully we take advantage of it.
Well, what do you think, Leasa? Why? I mean, because you would have probably noticed that you're having more and more conversations with people, and they're saying, "Wow, okay, we're geting backed here, there." What's your take on it?
I don't really know. It's exciting, but it's also, really I guess we do ask the question, like, why now? I don't have an answer. So I guess just on the back of what Dave's mentioned, there is definitely some big dollars in the market. And I guess they're looking at practices that have a solid foundation, maybe, that may not pose a risk because, the back end is so tight, not really well.
The reality is there's the number of practice owners who can demonstrate the ability to grow a business, past 1 million, maybe 1.5 and beyond. I think once you can get a practice to 1.5 to 2.5 mil, you can do 3.5, 4.5. You've got the scale game to play, which is a slightly different thing. But once you've got there, the next stage is actually it's the whole thing, right? The first million's the hardest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as well, there's been low returns because of low interest rates, everything that's been going on in the markets. There's a lot of investment in tech as well, like there hasn't been for quite a while. So here's my question for you: if we were to come back to Titan in 5 years from now, like, how is it going to be demonstrably different to the way it is now, and how is it probably going to be very similar?
I would hope, in terms of size, I would hope that in 5 years' time it'll be 4x or 5x.
Okay,
that'd be nice.
See, I think last time we spoke about it was 3x. It goes up by 1x every time.
I love X's. But I would hope that we pride ourselves on it. We're people first, I guess, for want of a better term, in terms of how we operate. And when I say people first, I mean our internal people first. We want everyone to come to work, and they're not coming to work. They're coming in and they're doing what they do, but they're having fun at the same time. We've got 2 guys, and I'm surprised I can't hear them playing cricket now. That'll break out a cricket pattern. And
you got the indoor cricket thing going on.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that as we grow, we don't lose that good fun culture.
Do you know there's a great story from Peter Thiel when he was investing in Airbnb. And Peter Thiel, if you've seen The Social Network, that movie about Facebook, he's the one where he's signing the check and Mark Zuckerberg's character is in his dressing gown. He goes, "Who's Edward Severance?" So he's quite a well-known. But he was signing a check for 150 mil for the Airbnb guys. And they said, "Wow, that's a lot of money. What's your biggest advice for us? What's the thing we should do?" And he turned around and said to them, "Don't F up the culture."
Yeah.
And I think that's telling of all the things that he wasn't worried about balance sheet. He wasn't worried about, keep the PE ratio high or whatever. He was like, you've got here because of what you've created. Don't lose that. And I think that's really telling.
And you know what? If people are coming in and they're having fun, the performance you're going to get out of your team is going to be a lot better anyway, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's kind of a balance. You can go too far and have the WeWork and everyone's sitting around. But I actually watched. Have you watched the BlackBerry movie?
Well, I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, okay. I won't ruin it for you then. But it's I mean, it's obviously for comedy, but it's a good watch. It's kind of the antithesis of the Steve Jobs stuff. So 3 to 4 times bigger, but ultimately still, I'm presuming still with the same people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. And we are. We're big on culture as well. So as Dave mentioned, we want our team to have fun. I'll weekly do team meetings that we've got, like a morning tea, or we'll do lunch for them. We celebrate birthdays. We do offsites every quarter. And throw in a bit of fun at the end of it with 10-pin bowling or barefoot bowls. So if they love coming to work and they'll get on board with everything that we're doing. And we have our team involved in decisions as well. So it's not just Dave and I that are implementing all these, changes. We're open to suggestions, and a lot of the threads and tasks that we've implemented has been on the back end of our team going, no, I think this will work or that will work. So very much it's a team decision, in anything that we do.
You've got some really, Simon, by the way, if there's a question, please feel free to pop it in the chat box, or I'll come to you in a sec. You've also got a team who are very, very loyal and very enthusiastic about the business. And when you look at the path they've taken to get to the business, it's not the standard route.
No.
So obviously you're giving people the opportunity to come on board based on criteria that are not just about what they did as a previous role. How do you make that decision and get it right?
I think we both see ourselves as a bit of team members. So it's not, even though we're business owners, we don't sit in the hierarchy of we're the business owner. Obviously there is some of that, but we're inclusive. So it's, Dave and I really have got our hands dirty, been involved quite deeply, and we're probably at that key person risk as well, which is probably why we want to grow.
Yeah.
I think we make it fun. We want them to be able to approach us, at any time. Scotty, that's still with us, coming up to 10 years, Nelly. He originally started as an advisor with us and resigned because he said advising is just not for me, and was going to go to uni. So we brought him back as a part-time paraplanner. Right. And he's with us today, full-time paraplanner compliance, and loves it. He just realised that face-to-face just wasn't him. And he often says he'll work for nothing for us. We're like, okay. We'll take up on that offer. But we allow flexibility as well. We're a hybrid business. We do allow working from home. Yeah. I just think we build a team of flexibility. And obviously there's boundaries with all of that as well. But, we have fun. Dave and I have fun as well. So I'm a bit of the fun police sometimes. So someone has to be, right? But we do have fun.
I was one of my questions, because my observation of working with you is that I come into the room with you guys and there's always this upbeat energy, and I know that's hard to do sometimes, particularly when you're dealing with never-ending claims and software systems that don't. So I mean that's a testament. And how you do that, I'm assuming it's driven by a little bit of passion, as well as working towards something. But yeah, what would if someone's listening to this and they're like, kind of a bit over it, I can't find the positive, what would be your advice to them?
I can just find, and you just mentioned claims, and just find the positive in what we do, because we do a lot of good, right? Like we get bashed up a lot in the media and all the rest of it. But I mean, we had 2 TBD claims last week, for one for a 42-year-old mother of 3. Yeah. And in that example, if with a big mortgage, like if that family hadn't have come to us and got the advice that they did, then who knows where would they'd be financially.
Genuinely, that's one of the reasons that when I think about what I do, it's because I actually think being a business owner can be one of the most powerful things that you can do for yourself, your family, unbridled revenue if you get it right, all of the positives, taking charge of it, doing things you love, building something that you create. On the flip side, you get it wrong, it will destroy families left, right, and center because of the financial pressure. And I just think, the opportunity to go in with people who, positive, and they make that step and they help them get it right, the knock-on effect it has is huge. It's enormous, generations down.
And I know, sometimes when you are having, difficult conversations or things, you're batting heads with product providers and you can't find that positive in what we're doing. There is always a positive. And I know with the claim that Dave just spoke about, like I opened my email and got the confirmation that she had, was going to receive this claim. And I walked into Dave's office and I just bawled my eyes out, because it was just, this is why we do what we do. As much as every day it's hard to find the good, we've just changed someone's life, So there is always something good. out of your day. And I think we're so easily looking at what went wrong as to what has gone right.
Yeah.
And just, I think at the end of each, and I do it myself, at the end of each day, I just look back on my day, as much as it's been hectic, but pick one thing that actually went well, and focus on that.
Focus on what the good you do, work with people who appreciate it, and then work to create a system underneath it that can help you deliver it as efficiently and effectively as possible so it doesn't eat up every moment of your day.
Exactly.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Greg, Kieran, Simon, Steve, if you got a question, pop it in. Now's the time. Otherwise, can you please do me a favor and go to the chat box and just let me know one thing that you've taken from this, because I know I have an above average need for feedback. And while everybody's giving me a little bit of feedback, I appreciate that. Give us a bit of a sense, Dave, Leasa, where you see what do you think are going to be the most important things for you to do over the next 12 months, and any tips you'd give for anybody who's listening to where you're at in the journey and going, okay, I want to reach that point too. Leasa, I'll start with
you. I forgot your question. I was just
what advice would you give to anybody who's hearing your situation and going, you know what, I really want to be able to do some of the things that you have done? What would you tell them to do or not do?
Just pick one thing and work on that. And then as you tick that box of completion, pick another thing. Start small. It's overwhelming, and I often get overwhelmed with some of the stuff that Dave does, but when you break it down, just look at one system in the business, one process that you think you can do better. And if it's 1% change, start with that. So start small. Don't feel like you have to introduce all this technology. As we've said, for us, it's taken 10 years to build what we have. But just map it out. And if you've got any questions, I'm happy to receive any questions and see if we can help you as well.
Beautiful. Dave, how about you?
I reckon if you've got 6 hours to chop down a tree, spend the first 3 sharpening the axe.
That's supposedly an Abraham Lincoln one, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's so true. Like, you get everything right, and like Lee said, and as a rabbit hole, technology is a rabbit hole you can really go down and go deep into. But just identify the problem and that you want to fix, and just do it in bite-sized chunks.
Love it. Yeah, it's like The Martian. You remember the final scene from The Martian, that movie? They say, you solve one problem and then you solve enough problem and you solve enough. One problem, next problem. If you solve enough problems, you get to come home. And that's kind of it.
And I have a thing in the office. If the same question is asked 3 times, there's a process built around it. Yeah. So we have a Titan Bible that has all our processes mapped out. And Stu, you've helped us, build that. Big on Loom videos. So if I can do a quick process on a Loom video that's 2 minutes, as opposed to spending 45 minutes doing a Zoom training session, but invest in your people, invest in your team. We spend a lot of time with our team, especially our offshorers, to get them to understand. And I think that's why we do have efficient processes in our business, because we've invested the time to get it right.
Deja vu is the universe's way of telling you to build systems. So Simon says, thanks, David and Leasa. It was lovely to hear your story. Very similar issues we all have, and good to hear how they approach. And I think that's really important, because I think systemization is something a lot of businesses reach. And the key thing is unpacking how you achieved it. Because for those that do it, there's a method, there's a system behind it and a method. And it's not, it doesn't happen by magic. Steve's identified he needs to build better systems. Definitely, we could cover it. We could talk about that for a lot longer if we needed to. Kieran says, choose a tech stack and stick to it. Yeah, 100%. If you are flipping across from tech stacks, 9 times out of 10, you're probably flipping for the wrong reasons, and you're not giving yourself time to extract the value. And then Greg, man, it's so good to engage with you again. Greg, we've been talking a lot recently. It's been good. He says, great, thanks. Good session, great insights. Keen to research HubSpot tools and benefits. Thanks again. Final thing, guys, if anybody wants to sort of engage with you, or they want to follow what you're doing, or even maybe, get involved in something, how would they do it?
We're both on LinkedIn. Send us a message through or connect through LinkedIn. We've got a Facebook page as well.
What's the page?
Titan Financial Planning.
Titan Financial Planning. Love it.
Probably
that's
one
Leasa
thing we
with
need to work on is our marketing, but that's another project. For
Well,
another time.
it is. Every year we sit down and go, let's dominate the marketing, and halfway through we go, we don't really need that many new clients.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, if you're looking for Leasa, it's Leasa, Leasa, because she's that kind of person. Just 2 extra syllables. Guys, this has been absolutely awesome. Honestly, I think we should do a follow-up on this, because I think if we look at the business 6 to 9 months down the track, in terms of where you guys are going to, I think it's going to evolve even further. But this has been exactly what I wanted to explore with you, which is how you take something from being relatively, small and contained, and get it to where it's systematized and driving, growth in the right way. So thank you so much. Any final thoughts?
No, it's been good fun.
It has.
And what we do is good fun. If you don't treat it like good fun, then,
What's that saying? You shouldn't take life so seriously, because no one's getting out alive.
Yes, that's very true.
Guys,
Life's
thank you
too
so
short.
much. It is, yeah. Life's too short. Life's very, very long and very, very short at the same time. Kieran, Simon, Steve, thanks for joining me. Jen, thanks for helping out with all the issues at the beginning. And of course, Dave and Leasa, have a wonderful week. Are you going anywhere this weekend, by the way, or are you just going to have a...
Well, we have children's sport all weekend.
Yeah, kids sport, winter sport.
If it's not raining, I think we got the kids sport on Saturday and Sunday. I think we've missed 3 out of the last 4 weekends. So we'll have to see how we go.
Yeah, but quiet weekend for us.
Wonderful. Well, enjoy your weekend. Thanks to everyone who joined me. And
Thanks for your time.
I'll see you soon.
See you guys. Bye.